just know that this is the call brought to you by the Robert Schuller Ministries, a church with no walls. I'm Donna Schuller. This is Robert Schuller. We only do this particular part of our ministry on the 15th of every month. We oftentimes have a great guest, and tonight is no exception because we're going to introduce somebody amazing. And before we do that, Robert's going to read a scripture that's applicable to our subject tonight. And then he's going to have a quick prayer, and then we're going to introduce our guest. And we're really excited to have him here in the studio tonight.
So I'm going to read from Psalm 107, and I've selected some, I've edited it out. So we're reading the first 9 verses, and then we're reading the rest of the chapter. So give thanks to the Lord, it says, for he is good, and his love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story. Those he redeemed from the hand of the foe, those he gathered from the lands, from the east and the west, from the north and the south. Some wandered in the desert wastelands, finding no way to a city where they could settle. They were hungry and thirsty, and their lives ebbed away. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He led them by a straight way to a city where they could settle. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his unfailing love, his wonderful deeds for mankind, for he satisfies the thirsty and fills the hungry with good things. He turned the desert into pools of water and the parched ground into flowing springs. There he brought the hungry to live, and they founded a city where they could settle. They sowed fields and planted vineyards that yielded a fruitful harvest. He blessed them, and their numbers greatly increased, and he did not let their herds diminish. He lifted the needy out of their affliction and increased their families like flocks. The upright see and rejoice. Let the one who is wise heed these things and ponder the loving deeds of the Lord.
Good scripture.
Dear Heavenly Father, you are good. Your love abounds forever. There isn't anything that is beyond your understanding, and your majestic hand is upon every single living thing. And so, O Lord, breathe life into the dead seeds, bring water to the parched lands. May your harvest be bountiful, and may it feed your people. So we love you, Lord, and we praise your name always and forever. Amen.
Amen. Well, we're going to get right into our introducing our guest. Tonight's guest is someone we interviewed about a year ago. His name is Jim Gale. He is the CEO of Food Forest Abundance. It's a permaculture food forest. He is a permaculture food forest designer, and he's done amazing things in this last year since we've had him on here. He's a former All-American wrestling champion. I always have to leave that in because Robert wrestled in high school and college. Yeah. World traveler, successful entrepreneur. Since discovering permaculture, he is on a mission to bring it to every household in the world. He's the founder of Food Forest Abundance. I already said that. He speaks about sovereignty, entrepreneurship, mindset, and freedom. Food Forest Abundance is on a mission to build a more free, healthy, and abundant society for generations to come. They provide education, design, and installation of edible food forests and permaculture gardens for every landscape. They empower people to grow their own food easily and joyfully. And if you need more information, their website is foodforestabundance.com. So, Robert, you know how to add Jim in here because we want to get Jim on here with us and say.
We shall see if I do.
You do. Yeah, I know you do.
Let's see here.
I know you do.
There's Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hello, Donna. Hello, Robert.
So good to see you again.
It's wonderful to be here, and I'm so thankful to be sharing this message with as many people as I possibly can. And by the way, that's a lot of people, especially thanks to you and people like you who see the value in this logic. And the logic is so simple. It's use God's systems, use God's tools, the abundance on our planet. When we expose the poisons and the poison producers, and we simply turn our energy towards using the gifts that God has given us, literally, we can create paradise on this planet. It's not a hard thing to do. In fact, it's infinitely harder not to do this.
Absolutely. I'm going to get right into a really tough question, not for you, but it's a tough question in that people may or may not know about this. I want to ask you about all the factories that, all the food producing factories that have been burnt down in our nation. I lost track some weeks ago, but I want to ask you about that and what is going on to our food supply here. It's gotten worse from what I understand. So how do you address that?
Well, it's in permaculture, we like to turn the problem into the solution. And first, to do that, you have to know what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem, so Henry Kissinger spelled this out 50 plus years ago. He said, if you want to control nations, you control oil. If you want to control people, control food. Now, why would somebody of his stature, the head of the World Economic Forum, who has met with every US president, who, by the way, appointed Klaus Schwab to be his replacement?
Wow.
Why would somebody say that? Because we have been, and this is the Great Awakening, the apocalypse literally means lifting the veil. We have been slaves to wickedness forever. And now we're starting to see through the veil. We're starting to see what the truth is. And so this is not an accident. Everything happening now is a strategy to control the mind and the energy of the people because they're losing control. The bad news is there is wicked, evil people that are trying to harm us. The good news is we're becoming aware of that, and we are starting to turn our energy, to take our energy out of those systems and turn our energy towards good things.
Well, I'm really surprised to hear you say this. This has been a progression in your message. And in fact, just today, the president signed an executive order which funds, what would you say it? But it funds the ability for in fact, I think I might have a slide.
Fake food. I think it's. Are you talking about fake food?
No, I'm not. I'm talking because he's talking about the whole, basically taking over society.
Yeah, the world
people.
economic.
And what it does is it allows things like chips to be implanted in people to control them and in their minds.
No, thank you.
So it's that kind of thing. And so coming back to Food Forest, Donna and I, we're so excited that when you were here a year ago, that we went out and we got all kinds of planters that we put on our balconies. We live in a small townhouse, and we don't have a backyard. We don't have any soil that we can plant anywhere unless it's in some kind of a flower bed. So we got these flower beds, and we've been planting. And
we started our compost when you told us to, and our compost is huge and healthy. And we've had some really good crops. It's to the end of our summer now, and
I think the tomatoes are almost done.
The tomatoes are almost done, but I might get on with you later and say, what should we plant now in Southern California in the fall? So anyway, we're having fun with it. But one of the things we tried to do last time, and I think we've encouraged people, is if you have a backyard at all, you need to plant edible food. Don't plant any more ornamental trees that do nothing but look pretty. Think about your family, right? Right?
Oh, gosh. If all we did were expose and take out the poisons and transform 50%, we have 44 million acres of lawn in the United States alone.
Yeah.
When we take out the poisons and we turn 50% of the American lawn into regenerative edible landscapes, we will reverse mass extinction and deforestation, cancer, diabetes, heart disease. We will end hunger and we will end tyranny simply by using our resources wisely. And this is where a lot of people have been programmed to believe that growing food is hard. Here's the truth. It's as easy to grow an apple or an avocado or a peach tree as it is to grow a willow or an oak tree.
Mhm.
And how much time do you spend growing your oak tree? God does that. God doesn't do
Exactly.
anything.
So historically, I've always had fruit trees in my backyard, and Don and I had avocado
Yes,
tree,
we did.
and
We had lots
the
of fruit. We
most
miss it.
amazing fig tree, and these beautiful, magnificent figs, et cetera, et cetera. And I've had this discussion with other people. I said, if we really wanted to feed the homeless, because we have homeless all through Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco, et cetera. I've told people, I've used this, exactly what you said. I said,
Yeah,
all you have to do is get rid of. Imagine what would happen if you took all the decorative trees that line the highways and the roads here and replaced them with fruit trees.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to worry about the homeless going hungry, would we? And
No.
they just go, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah.
And they would be healthier and they would be more full of life and they would be able to think more clearly because the food we eat translates to the energy and the productivity and our ability to think clearly. So in every single way, this creates a society of absolute abundance.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, we're excited about that whole concept.
Yeah.
So what is this? What are the first steps for people who say, I just do not have a green thumb. I can't grow a thing. What do you tell them?
Well, first I say, do you have grass? And then they usually say yes. I said, do you grow the grass? And they'll be like, not really. I cut the grass. I don't grow the grass. But that's how much of a green thumb. If you can grow grass, or if you have any ornamental plants in your yard, then you can trade those out for edible plants. And that's what we do. We design these freedom landscapes into the fabric of society. So the best place to grow food is 1 foot out your back door. Why? Because that's the closest place as an energy transfer. You don't want to be growing food 1,500 miles away, which the average farm to table in the United States is 1,500 miles.
Amazing.
Throughout the history of humanity, it used to be hundreds, if not, feet. It was within a football field. Usually my mom grew up on a farm in Minnesota. She had no running water or electricity till she was 15 years old. Now this is in Minnesota where it gets 20 below zero.
Very cool.
Yeah. And they grew all of their own food and they didn't even know permaculture. They didn't know when you combine the perennial edible landscapes in the right way, the plants actually benefit each other and they're beautiful. They're life-giving systems according to what I know to be the design of God, the design of something magical.
Absolutely. It is interesting. People are very, I don't know. I think some people are they just don't want to do it, but others, like Robert said, they want to do it, but they're not sure how. Yeah. And, they can contact you. You can contact us and find out how we did it in our little townhome in Newport Beach, actually up on our upstairs balcony, right outside our master bedroom. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been challenging. It's really been hurtful sometimes because we travel a lot and we're like, oh no, who's going to water? We got the little things to put up for the heat. We've had a lot of heat here, Jim, this year that we aren't used to, and for various reasons. But it's been fun, and it gives me something else to take care of. I like it.
And yes, and the trees. Now, what you're talking about is annual gardening.
Yes,
and I want to share with people that that's not what I'm talking about.
No, I understand.
Now, it's very valuable. Now it's important that we plant annuals because the food supply chain is not going to collapse. it has collapsed.
Mhm.
We have strategic reserves and we have still a lot of local farmers producing food, but the system is going down. It's really already gone down. Fertilizers have went up 300 to 400%. The cost of growing food this unnatural way. So what we do is we design perennial edible landscapes, fruit trees and berry bushes. And there's actually 7 layers to a food forest. You've got your roots and tuber layer, well, like yucca and taro and potatoes, and then all the way up to your vines. Vines, like every fence, is a built-in trellis. So for a fence, you plant a bunch of grapevines along the base of your fence, and now you've got your trellis and you've got a fence that's more beautiful and it provides food.
Exactly. Our daughter and her husband moved into a new house about a year ago, and they quickly discovered there was a grapevine creeping over from the neighbors, and it was just gorgeous. It just filled this whole, like you said, just a boring fence, a wooden fence. And it was like, she was like, Mom, come look at this. Just a gorgeous decorative thing that they also could eat.
Yes. And the butterflies, the birds, the life. When you have a food forest in your backyard, you want to spend time with it. It's a living thing. Like it's just incredibly diverse too. And that's one of the beauties. Like here, we're building an off-grid community to demonstrate this connection, to demonstrate this freedom every day. And when I am standing in the food forest, you can feel the energy. It's palpable. And the butterflies and all the animals and the frogs and the crickets and the sounds and the smells and the tastes. We have 200 different species of food growing in our new food forest.
That's so amazing.
200.
That's amazing.
That is spectacular.
So you never have to go buy anything that fresh.
Not at all.
Like not at all. I know. Oh gosh. I
Uh-uh.
want to get there.
Yeah. I don't think it's, I don't think it's possible for us to get there in our little balconies. Our balconies are
That would be
like
hard.
15 by
That would be real hard.
15 by 8.
But there's only 2 of us. So
There's
you know.
only 2 of us. But we supplement our diet with the food we grow from. I think you grew kale this year and
all
tomatoes.
kinds of stuff.
And,
Yeah, just all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
I tried the cucumbers didn't work out, but that's okay. My
Yeah.
daughter's so you can't win them all. But I just love what you're doing. I really do.
You go ahead.
I was going to say we might have people on our call line that would like to. Oh, one pending question. Would you be open to answering a question?
Oh, of course.
I thought so. Okay, let me see here. One pending question. Okay, next question. Let's see what it is. Okay, please ask your question to Jim or to us. Hello, are you there? Oh, wait. Hello?
No, hello.
Hello. It's
So-
on my phone. It's
so-
on the conference line. Sorry,
we're getting
I'm trying.
used to this new technology that we just started, and it allows us to stream to all of our different platforms at the same time, and it allows us to have Jim on here. And I noticed that Jim's camera is frozen for some reason. I don't know why.
Not on the small box.
I
We
know
can
in the
see it,
small
yeah.
box I can see him, but not in the
And ours
one
was
that's broadcasting.
frozen earlier, so I
Yeah.
don't know. We don't know. It's technology.
But
We just do what we do, and we're trying to pass out some good information, which we get it out, and it doesn't matter if it freezes or not, as long as people hear the message,
exactly.
right? And
So I have a question while you unless
yeah, I
there's
don't know
somebody
how
there.
to. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, one
So-
question pending. You go ahead and talk.
So the question I have is there seems to be
Q&A session is over.
What?
there
Sorry.
there seems to be some kind of nefarious thing taking place with the fertilizer, with the
Q&A
food
session
supply,
is
with
Sorry.
with now you have the strike with the railroads, and it just seems to me like there's some real concerns, especially come this fall, not only internationally, but I think clearly it is internationally, but also in the United States. I don't feel like our food supply is very secure. How do you feel about that?
I don't think there will be an election, and not a legitimate one this year. I think the systems are going to completely fail between now and the end of the year. And I think that it's time for leaders to lead right
Yeah.
now. And how do we lead? Number one, through 15 years of obsession turned joyful obsession about studying this. Number one is faith and courage. Number one is to let go of the fear, because the fear is the
Yes.
ultimate control mechanism of evil, of these wicked people. Mainstream media will prove this to you every day. It's all about fear and shame and humiliation and rage and all of these emotions that are under the emotion of faith and courage. So step up into courage and faith. Know that we are more than this. And it's our time to lead the way into a beautiful future, into a golden age, because the wicked systems are being exposed. And now they're collapsing under that weight of being exposed. And to stand up and to say, I do not comply with anything that is force and violence. I do not comply with anything that is coercive or meant to manipulate or harm. Instead, I am going to stand and I'm going to show people, I'm going to demonstrate by eating poison-free foods, by living a life of love and joy and service in a way that's also good for me. And I'll tell a really interesting story. John Nash, the Nash equilibrium. If you don't know about this, it's something to really check out. Previous to John Nash, there's a guy named Adam Smith. Adam Smith was the kind of considered the father of modern economic theory for 150 years. His theory was very simple. If everybody in an economic system does what's best for themselves, you'll have a strong economy. John Nash came along, and by the way, he won a Nobel Prize, and there was a story that was I think it was an Oscar award-winning show called A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
Seen that show?
Absolutely.
Mind. Yeah, it was made about John Nash. Now, what did Hollywood do? Well, first, let me tell you what happened. Then I'll tell you what Hollywood did. John Nash's theory, mathematically, was if everybody in an economy does what's best for themselves and others,
yes.
he added that simple thing, which speaks to the ethics of the voluntary transfer of value. If everybody in an economy does what's best for themselves and others, which speaks to service and getting rewarded for creating value in people's lives, then we will have an even stronger economy. Now, what did Hollywood do? And by the way, Hollywood is controlled by the same people that control CNN, the same people that run BlackRock, which is not only the name of the company, but it is the intention of the company. BlackRock, they have a computer named Aladdin that runs the whole financial system. $21 trillion they spent on mostly poisons. And did they create any value? Did this computer named Aladdin that works for BlackRock produce value for society? No, they're a parasite. They're the ultimate AI-controlled wickedness, evil. Yeah, backwards. It's like live backwards. It's evil. So what Hollywood does is manipulate. What we get to do, though, is take the message of John Nash and do what's best for ourselves and others. And together, when we rise our vibration to faith and courage and serve that way, we lead the way to this next golden age.
That's amazing. And that's so true. We have to care for others. We can't just be selfish. And even obviously we care for ourselves, we care for our families, we care for our communities, our state, our nation, and our world. And, it's called compassion. And also, I know you know this, people that give back, people that care for others are much more psychologically healthy.
Yes.
They don't get depressed as often. And of course, eating the right kind of food goes right along hand in hand with that. But we just have to remember how important it is to, if we're going to plant a garden, to help our neighbor plant a garden. Like if we live in a pretty good sized townhome here, a situation where we don't have neighbors with homes like right next door. But the girl that does my hair is a perfect example. She just moved into a family home and she has a huge backyard. And she did my hair a few days ago and she pulled out her cell phone and she said, "Look what we planted." And her boyfriend is, tilling the soil and he's planting plants. And I like to think I had a little something to do with that because I was always talking about our small little garden. And so anyway, she's doing it. She's planting a food forest in her backyard. And
more people are growing food now than any time in history.
Wow.
As we wake up to what the truth is. A lot of people say, but my HOA won't allow me. I don't comply with tyranny, period. I do not comply.
Absolutely.
I will have that debate.
We didn't ask, because I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to, I'm sure. We have a huge compost bin up there, and I'm sure they would not like that at all, but we don't ask. We're not going to ask.
And then if they do come after us for doing what nature intended, and that's to use our land, steward our land, bring life to the land, then let's have the debate publicly. Let's get our phones out and say, look at here's what I want to do. I would like to grow food during a food supply chain disaster. And this person over here thinks that they can tell me I can't grow food on my own property. Have that debate in a very thoughtful and ethical way, in a strategic way. And when we all start chipping away at this, the whole system is coming down no matter what. So now let's just make sure that we build the foundation for the new system while the old system is crumbling.
Absolutely. It's interesting to hear you talk about that. I would assume most of that comes out of California. We didn't know other states were that tyrannical. We know that we live in this, state of California. We both were raised here. I was born here. He was born, in the middle. Where were we born? Illinois. But he moved out here when you were 6 months old.
I don't really have any memories.
No, but he was brought up here. But we know this state is the craziest state in the union. Absolutely. It's insane what's going on here. And we become louder and louder voices. And the thing for us in truth and in freedom, but the thing that's been so great for us is to see other people. I know you've seen it in the last 2.5 years since we last spoke. People are waking up, not woke, they're waking up to the truth and what's going on. And they're saying, absolutely not me. Not my family. You're not going to control me. You're not going to tell me what to plant in my yard. You're not going to tell me if I can go to church or not. You're not going to tell me what I'm going to say on social media. And by the way, one of the reasons we have this multi-platform restreaming now is because we're afraid they're going to, take us off one of the platforms here anytime. Yeah. And so we wanted to protect the fact that we try to reach people with the truth. So, we all have to deal with that, but that's okay.
It happens. It's happened to me on a lot of platforms. One of the things I'd like to take the opportunity to do is to call out, like, the people that work for BlackRock. A lot of those people are good people. The people who work for Apple with $2 trillion, right? The people who work with Elon Musk, the people who work with these big names out there, a lot of these people are well-intended people who simply are unaware of the harm that they're doing in the military, in the school system, in the medical world, the doctors. Here's the beautiful part, though. When people hear truth, they become aware of a new paradigm, a new possibility. Then they will choose, because the word choice is almost always misrepresented. The word itself implies that there's an awareness of choice. But if there's not an awareness of choice, then there simply isn't a choice.
Right. That's a good point.
Very true.
Right. Then let's help demonstrate freedom and truth and to help that awareness. And then it'll just be the next logical thing.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jim, we're going to take a little pause here. I'm going to actually collect our offering, and I'm going to come right back. I'm hoping that will because I noticed that
we're frozen now.
We're frozen. We're both frozen. And earlier today when I did this, that
when you took a break. Oh, when you went to a slide.
When I went to a slide and came back, it unfroze us. So let me just go to this slide a minute.
Okay.
And because this is the Robert Schuller Ministries, and we collect an offering. It's part of our worship to God. That's why we encourage people to give, not necessarily to support this ministry, even though it does, but it supports you. By giving, you receive. So it's imperative that you give. And if you want to incorporate this ministry into your giving platforms, you will be blessed. It's not necessarily blessed financially, but you will be blessed. And so the main way to give is to go to drschuller.org. And if you'll see it listed on this slide that we have here. And if you go to drschuller.org, you will find our address, which is 26 Canyon Island Drive, Newport Beach, California, and 92660, and you can mail a check that way. There's also an opportunity for you to hit the button that says I'd like to give, and you can give that way. And so we want to encourage you to give and support this ministry with your tithes, your offerings, and your prayers. We covet your prayers. And it didn't.
We're still frozen in a really weird.
It's always a really weird expression. So I'm just going to put.
That's okay.
So I'm going to put all three of us in a weird expression.
Yeah, we're all frozen.
Yeah, we're all frozen. Technology, you can't live with it. You can't live without it.
We'll figure it out.
So we have the highest speed internet you can buy, it just still doesn't work. Yeah. But anyway, here we are, and
well, we really appreciate you, Jim, and we appreciate what you're doing, and we appreciate. I don't know. Is there any last comment you'd like to make to people?
Sure.
A word of encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody out there would like to join us in our mission to help other people grow food, then please do. If you would like to grow food yourself, great. We've got amazing designers all over the world that design edible landscapes into people's yards. If you'd like to be in the business of helping people grow food, that would be great. We're the fastest growing co-op in the world. If you'd like to own a Freedom Farm Academy, which is basically a demonstration nursery site that has education and nursery and all the different components, off-grid, food, water, and energy in one of the most important assets, and that's an off-grid homestead right now, then that's another piece of the puzzle. And if anybody would like to be part in any way, this is the time. It's the most incredible opportunity to serve, in my awareness, in the history of humanity.
Love it. Oh my gosh. And just to hear you speak and everything you've done and everything you've developed, all these programs you didn't have last time you were on here.
Yeah.
And I also have to say thank you, because I knew it. We heard you on Dale Bigtree. We found you that way. That's how I contacted you and said, would you be willing to come on our podcast? You said, absolutely. And I said to you at the end of the time together, our hour together, I said, oh my gosh, you're going to get so huge. Will you just please come back and be on our little program again sometime? And you said, absolutely, I will. And you were true to your word.
Oh, so anytime, my friend.
Thank you. I know you're a very, very busy guy.
Hey, Jim, do you have a camera on your screen that you can, because I just hit and hit, there you go. Hit it again. Let's see if that brought you back to life.
He is on this wall.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah,
how's that?
No, didn't work.
It's working on this small screen.
Oh, well. Yep, working on the small screen, but not the big one. Oh, well. Technology, you can't live with it, you can't live without it. But, hey, we want to really thank you for everything you're doing. And we want to encourage people, everyone listening to my voice right now, to get in touch with your local farmers who are growing local crops and
if you're not going to grow it yourself,
by all means,
buy it locally.
Know how to connect with them. Grow your own vegetables. I'm in the process of searching for a pressure cooker to be able to cook like 60 cans at a time. And you didn't know that one, did you?
Good. That's his job then. I just heard it. You heard it too. You're my witness, and anybody listening.
And that's because I do a lot of fishing, and that's the best way to preserve the fish. You can it. And it cooks inside the glass jars. It's not a tin can, and you cook it in these glass jars. And we've had that before from my friends who's made it. It's absolutely delicious. But you know that.
Oh,
You've
yes.
heard me
It's the
talk
best tuna ever.
with my friends about that. So I'm looking into that. So we need to become a little more food independent as opposed to food dependent. Our grocery stores last year here in Southern California in Orange County, the shelves, I've never seen empty shelves in my life. Even when COVID hit in 2020, there weren't empty shelves. But
Only toilet paper.
yeah, only toilet paper, exactly.
Yeah.
Only paper goods. And but now the eggs there was only very few eggs in the grocery store. I mean, we're talking the basics, the foundations, meats. The meats department were almost empty, and you follow this a lot more closely than I do. And I heard you say that come this fall, you think it's going to get really bad here in the United States. We're not just talking internationally.
Yes.
I'm afraid in the world we're going to see a tremendous starvation in third world countries and impoverished countries. And so I've been praying about that. But meanwhile, we have to continue to pray that God will bless our planting, our seeds, our efforts, so that we will enjoy the bounty of His goodness for our lives.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So if people want to get in touch with you, they can go on your website, foodforestabundance.com.
Yep. Thank you so much. Big hug you too.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for the work
Thank
that you
you.
do.
Okay.
All right. Ciao.
God bless you, Jim.
God bless you as
Bye.
well. Bye, everybody.
So
For those of you still on, we'll join you next for the call. We'll be on October 15th. If it's October 15th at 6 p.m.
it's time for the call.
Absolutely. I'm sorry about the frozen screen with Jim Gale. He's just an amazing speaker, as you can tell. He's very animated. He didn't look like it because he's kind of frozen like this.
It was frozen, exactly.
But, you know, we're figuring this out. And I'm not sure, like Robert said, we have the most expensive internet you can buy here because we do
We're
a lot.
spending way too much.
We're spending too much and we don't know what else to do because we think it's the internet problem. I mean, I don't know. We'll be on with this new platform and ask them if there's any tips and things to do to help this situation. But we're doing the best we can, and we love you all. God loves you, and so do we. We'll see you next month. We'll see you Sunday morning, 8 a.m. We're on live on the same platforms that you saw us on today. And this is also going to our podcast. So Google Robert Schuller Ministries podcast, and you'll be able to share the audio part of tonight's call. And just know we love you all. We appreciate your support. There's people that listen to this call that support us every single month, and we couldn't do what we do without you. So
That's
thank you
for
very
sure.
much.
So one other announcement before we say goodbye.
Yes.
On the fourth Wednesday of every month.
Oh, yeah. This is
I'm sorry,
big.
the last Wednesday
Yeah.
of every month.
The last Wednesday.
The last Wednesday of every month, Don and I are going to be on the Word Network at 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern, and so you can pick us up there.
We have an
as
hour
well.
of television time,
Yeah.
which is also on social media, but we're on satellite now. We're on cable. Just look up The Word Network.
The Word Network. Mhm.
And we'll be in the guide soon, but we have 5:30 p.m. slot Pacific time, the very last Wednesday of every month, and that's a start.
Yeah.
so
So-
we're excited about that.
So I wanted to share that with you as
That's
well.
a good one. Good
Yeah.
announcement.
So you have a great week. We'll see you Sunday morning
8
at
a.m.
8 a.m.
Pacific.
And if you're on Facebook
Or
and
or
and then
restream
the
is
restream, but
yeah.
the call, of course, is every 15th of every month. So
okay.
God bless you all.
He is blessing.
blessing you, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.